Okay. Bill, did you want to share your screen for the presentation?
Sure, hold on. All right. All right. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, so I'm ready to go.
Okay, I'm recording, so whenever you're ready.
Okay. Welcome to our group's presentation over MySQL. Our presenters are Andre Coleman, Joshua Dalton, William Johnson, and Aisha Saeed. Next slide. MySQL is an open source relational database management system. It is based on SQL, which stands for Structured Query Language, which is used for adding, removing, and modifying information in the database. MySQL can be used for a variety of applications, but it's most commonly found on web servers. MySQL is known for its quick processing, reliability, flexible, and ease of use. Next slide, please. Some history about MySQL. A Swedish company created MySQL in 1995. The developers were Michael Wiedenhuis, David Axmark, and Alan Larson. So the purpose was to provide efficient and reliable data management options to home and professional users. MySQL is one of the most widely used database management system in the world. The software has become the first choice of large data management corporations. Next slide. So some growth history of MySQL. If you look here, the first release was in May 1995. In 2000, it became open source. And then in 2008, a major event happened in which MySQL was acquired by Sun. And then in 2010, Oracle purchased both Sun and MySQL. Next slide. So why MySQL exists? MySQL exists to process and retrieve data from the database for users to access and use. Also, the main thing is to provide data management options to companies and home users. It can store anything from a single record of information to an entire inventory of products for an online store. Many organizations like Facebook, Google, and Adobe rely on MySQL to save time and money, making sure their websites run smoothly in business systems and software. Next slide. So currently, MySQL is owned by Oracle. It's developed, distributed, and supported by Oracle. MySQL is flexible, has high performance, strong data protection, and open source freedom with 24/7 support. And the most recent version of MySQL is 5.7. Next slide. And I'll hand it over to Joshua.
The reason why you use MySQL is because it is open source, and so it is free. So it's cheaper than Oracle and their database development. So now with this, with MySQL, you can own MySQL very easily. Everyone can use it on their personal computer. It's very easy to use. You can set up your own data mining for research and personal information, electronic information related to anything that person wants. So their personal computer can use that, or it could be used in this setting, any other setting as well. But the MySQL database is very easy to use, very user-friendly, interactive. You can do tables, charts. You can run all sorts of programs, queries, for example. But it also supports many different type of program languages as well. like plus language, C language, and whatnot. With Oracle, it can enter Oracle database or Microsoft databases. It can use that. MySQL is compatible with many different types of databases there. Like I said, it's easy to use with Java script as well. So MySQL is very popular as a management for a database. And it can handle large amounts of data as well. And it's possible, it has the ability to run, with large amounts of data. Okay, next. What's nice about MySQL, it's, like I said, it's very interactive, user-friendly, easy to use. So, like MySQL, you use a command database. Well, you can type out, you can create the database, for example, with our class, e-commerce, if you want to do that. And you can enter in many different databases. You just type in user-specific name. For example, our class, we use data to e-commerce class. And as an example, you can just use a very specific name in order to get access to that. Next, let's see. Next slide. All right, so when you open the new database or use any old database, either or, you can open it and you can make a new table. You can create a new table with student information, like for example, a class. So when you make a schedule, you can have up to, you have unlimited files or fields in there, sorry. And then you can put names, class names, city, state, town, gender, phone number, all that information that you would need can run in query and make that on a table for the students to look at and use. The next slide. Okay, so when the table is set up, you can create that in the database. What you do next is put down all the data records, all the information is in that class with the 4 students in this particular group. You can have 4 records there: mine, William, Asha, and all the information of the students is there. Emails, phone numbers, all the personal information that you need, and it's in the database of the table. So you enter that information, and now I'll show you how to get the output and what that's going to look like in the next slide. So now you can see from that slide the table. It's really simple. You run with 4 different types of commands, and it's easy to use. We use very popular Microsoft till now, and we're still using that. Next slide.
Josh, thank you. We'll now look at the MySQL backup and recovery. It is important to back up your databases so that you can recover your data and be up and running again in case of problems, such as system crashes, hardware failure, or user deletions. Backups are also essential for safeguarding before upgrading your MySQL installation. MySQL offers a variety of backup strategies to meet business requirements. These include logical, physical, full, and incremental. There's also recovery methods, including point-in-time recovery, backup scheduling, compression and encryption, table maintenance to enable recovery of corrupt tables. Next slide, please. We'll look at the security best practices for MySQL. We'll take a look at a few of these components. One will be the installation of the MySQL database. For most MySQL, this is the best practices. We'll also look at the installations from a MySQL secure installation and a MySQL installer for Windows. The vendor recommends the following: set a strong password for root accounts, remove root accounts that are accessible from outside the local host, and also remove any anonymous users, remove test databases, and which can be accessed by default, including the anonymous users. Keep MySQL up to date, and also continue to look at the repositories or schedule updates through YAM, APT, or SUSE. This also includes the MySQL installer for Windows. Next slide. While maintaining database and OS maintenance via software updates, maintaining security requires keeping operating system and the MySQL security patches up to date. Applying updates may require the restart of the MySQL server or its operating system to take effect. We also recommend utilizing MySQL replication or the GTID-based replication. It is highly recommended to review and follow the OS vendor specific hardening guidelines when updating the operating system. Next slide. During the configuration of the MySQL database, the following encryption recommendations should be considered. Encrypt communication. Ensure SSL and TSL encryption for data transport. Also utilize the X.509 in case you have, in addition to what you already have. Ensure username, passwords, or the authentication methods are available. Use database and application level encryption for highly sensitive data. And also, you want to make sure that you mask or de-identify any personal IDs or credit cards. Next slide. Here we look at when the configuration of the MySQL database, the following password policies should also be reviewed and considered. Enforce a strong password, enforce password hashing, password expiration, enable password validation plugin, and also in a Windows environment, it is recommended to enable authentication plugin. This will reduce the administration overhead for a Windows environment. The MySQL database can inherit its passwords from the LDAP, Windows Active Directory, or some type of database structure for passwords and usernames. It's also recommended that you disable accounts when not in use and enable the lockout policy. Next slide, please. And then we look at, finally, we look for the, during the configuration of the MySQL database backups, we should consider that backups are critical. They must be taken. They're used to restore after an attack, mitigate, move, or clone a server. They're part of the audit trail. You should have regular scheduled backups. You should monitor these backups and also encrypt these backups. Next slide, I will pass the summary over to William.
Okay. All right. So, you know, you might ask why MySQL. Well, MySQL is one of the most widely, if not the most widely used, you know, if it's not one of the most widely, it is the most widely used database of the world. At least multiple sources have stated that it is the most widely used. So, and you know, what is MySQL? It's an open source RDBMS, relational database management system. And, you know, MySQL, you know, it's built right in the name. It supports this structured query language, which is the standard for all, you know, basically enterprise level databases currently. And so, and it's a mature product. You know, it's been developed since 1995, and there's been many improvements in both its abilities and its speed along the way. MySQL is, you know, one of the reasons they use it is it's easy to use and adapt by RDBMS administrators, and as it's similar to almost, you know, to other SQL query languages. And so the same query that you develop for Microsoft will most likely work here. If you and it will work here if you've actually complied with the, you know, the standard SQL language. Where is it used? It's used everywhere. It can support backend databases for web servers, security applications. I've used it on multiple security deployments to collect data from a lot of my log collectors. it can work in business related applications. And the other thing is, another reason to, for back-end support is it offers multiple levels of backup and restore options, restoring from records all the way to full database if you're required to do so. One thing you need to remember is, like with MySQL, is vulnerable to SQL injections, just like any of the RDBMSs that use SQL. Thus the word SQL injection. So you need to, worry about security, and we've already talked about that. You need to basically make sure the security of the database is locked down, and also the operating system for that, for that database. So, and SQL offers everything from user-based security to data encryption. So, MySQL, it's a complex relationship with its current owners, which is Oracle. When Oracle originally and Sun acquired MySQL, originally there was a lot of uproar in the community concerning SQL or MySQL, but Sun and Oracle have both treated it well. They've both maintained two forks. They maintain an enterprise level fork, which is paid for, and they also maintain and still offer, the standard open source agreements that everybody's grown to love. So, it's actually supported by two communities now. It's enterprise and it's community, public community. So why use it? Well, for all the reasons aforementioned. It's mature and a full-featured product. Its open source version is supported by the community and gains a lot of good things from that. It's also backed by Oracle, which is a major corporation, very large, and this adds very much value to the product. Their sharing of technology back into this product is significantly enhanced the product. The open source version, why not use it? It's free. But if you need to go to migrate to an enterprise level, and the cost for the Oracle version is not that prohibitive. It's in looking at what the cost of the product is on their website, it's not considerable. So, and it's not as bad as some of the other products that are out there. So, thank you for your time. We appreciate you joining the conference for us. And that pretty much opens it up for questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to jump in.
Okie doke. Nice job. It was it's definitely interesting stuff. What did you run across in terms of things like customer reviews, people that are using it, what their opinions were, and kind of what the general consensus was?
Well, I found, I've used it multiple times, and I've got into the community as far as, having to query them about, different things when I've had to use it and didn't understand things. I've gotten really good response from the community, answering questions, not just the standard, read the manual, stupid, but they'll go, everybody understands the, when you're first getting into it, they'll respond. A lot of people love the product. It's easy to use, like what, Joshua did, was showing. You can use it from a command line. So if you really want to stay not low tech, but, really focused on a particular thing, you can stay at the command line and get your things done quickly, really low, you don't have to have a lot of overhead. Or you can go into the GUI interface. It's, a lot of people really love this product and use it to its full extent. And it, like what Andre had spoken about, backing it up, restoring databases. You can restore things from just one record all the way up to the whole database. It's full featured. So.
Okay. One other quick question I had. I'm going to have to get going here in just a second because we've got another group at 1:30. But I had a question as far as everybody's familiar with referential integrity, correct? Anybody thrown off by that?
By what? What was, I did, you
Say
kind
that
of,
again.
Referential integrity.
well,
I have,
It's a database concept that
yeah.
that you have records that are related to each other. If you have a child table, for example,
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
right, that if you delete it, right. Okay, so how does MySQL handle that relative to other relational databases? How do you implement that?
Hmm. Well, I mean, I know it has a key structure. I mean, it's you tie everything to, between the records and keys. But I'm trying to figure out. I don't know that I actually. I haven't actually looked at it from that aspect. I'm sure it does have a referential integrity option. It is a mature enterprise level product.
This is Joshua. One nice thing about SQL is you can build a table and you can set up a relationship with another table. So, when you're setting up and creating, you can use the records to automatically send to other tables so that they're, keep everything into integrity between everything. So it's just a matter of setting that up. And we'll have alert set up as far as accepting or not accepting that. So you can keep all that information clean in that structure and structured in there.
Okay.
Okay, one thing I'll add also is the idea that with MySQL, the enforcing of foreign keys will actually take care of the referential integrity, which is something MySQL does offer. And is a pretty good white paper on the advantages of foreign keys and how to set those up for tables.
Okay. At least at one point, MySQL has been marketed as a relational database, but it did not directly enforce referential integrity. Rather, you enforced it as the programmer when you implemented your scripts to manipulate the database. And so, for example, you would have to, as a database programmer, specifically code in that you could not delete a record in which there was a parent table or a child table that had a related record. And that's how you enforced referential integrity. At least at one point, things may have changed. And that's kind of what I was getting at. I was trying to find out if that was still the case or not.
Yeah, I'm trying to look that up right now. I was trying to go to their website and see what they're.
Okay. Well, I really don't mean to cut you short, but I have another group that's really starting in about 4 minutes. So, but I do appreciate your presentation. MySQL is an interesting product. I love the fact that it's open source. I just love, it's a favorite 4-letter F word to professors is free. So,
Yeah.
you can't beat that. So. It does take a little bit more effort. It's not something like Access that's menu driven and things like that, but it's pretty slick. It's certainly more scalable than something like Access.
It doesn't. I just found an article on it on their website, and it doesn't look like they specifically enforce referential integrity, but they do state how to do that, by enforcing foreign keys, but. And the advantage of doing that, but it looks like it doesn't specifically require referential security or integrity part of the base system. So,
Okay. Well, thank you very much, and I will talk to you guys later.
Okay.
Take care.
You. Bye.
One more thing, real quick. I did want to remind you, be sure and fill out your peer evaluations. Just so that everybody's got those, and somebody's already submitted the project, and I'll get these videos posted to the discussion board later today.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.